First up is a ring that is actually created by combining two items together, the Gemless Ring and the Ringless Gem. Now most players probably miss creating this ring because one component of the ring, the Ringless Gem, can only be purchased from Ferg Droger, a trader who will only trade with you if Shadowheart is not in your party at Rivington in Act 3. Once you've purchased the Ringless Gem from Ferg, you can find the Gemless Ring on the corpse of a refugee on the cliffs in the northeast part of Rivington. Once combined, the ring that is created is called the Tarnished Ring. Unfortunately, even though the ring is uncommon, it grants no bonuses and appears to have no use despite the effort required to assemble it. And next up is Isobel's hidden Mind Flayer Parasites. Most players will probably not discover that Isobel can actually grant you 2 Mind Flayer Parasites, granting more illithid powers. Now in order to get both of these parasites, you'll need to side with Balthazar and bring the Night Song to Moonrise. By completing that quest, which awards a Mind Flayer Parasite on its own, another quest is unlocked called Capture Isobel the Selûnite Cleric. By successfully abducting Isobel, you'll earn a Mind Flayer Parasite as a quest reward. Then, later on, when you encounter her again when you fight Ketheric, when you win that fight, on her corpse you will actually find yet another Mind Flayer Parasite, one that is only there if she was abducted. And next up, a message from today's sponsor, Stunlock Studios. The official release of V Rising is finally here. Experience a vampire survival action RPG like no other. Rise from your grave after centuries of slumber and hunt for blood to regain your power. Explore a vast open world of dark fantasy. Face humans and monsters alike, and worse, the deadly sunlight. Unleash your creativity with your own unique gothic castle, and don't forget to craft a coffin for your well-deserved rest after a long, sinful night. Hunt alone or gather a clan. V Rising can be played both solo or co-op with friends. In a world of conflict, be the vampire who reigns supreme. Do you dare challenge the throne of Dracula? One of my favorite parts about V Rising is how captivating it is, combining an amazing theme of being a vampire and fighting both undead monsters, creatures, and preying upon humans, while at the same time being a base-building survival game. I was sucked in when I played, and I can't wait to play more. Also, I couldn't help but love the fact that the structures you build are vampire-themed. You can create a vermin nest to capture rats, and then use the blood press to harvest their blood to power your castle. Absolutely amazing. V Rising is out now on Steam, with the PlayStation 5 version just around the corner, and the Castlevania event where players can fight Simon Belmont is now live. Check out the links in the description now. And next up is how to speak with Bane, the Black Lord. Did you know that if you cast Speak with Dead on Gortash, you can actually talk with Bane, god of tyranny, hate, strife, and a member of the Dead 3? Previously, this dialogue did not have a voiceover, but as of patch 6, it now does. Bane tells you that by seeking power, you make him eternal, and options for dialogue include asking what you can do to earn his blessing, why did he ally with Merkel and Ball, where are the Steel Watchers assembled, and telling him that you are no agent of his, that you seek power for proper ends, not for its own sake. And next up is a secret ability for any class, which is unlocked by a book which causes AoE fear and bleed. This ability is unlocked by reading the book called Regarding the Slayer. By reading this book during a Dark Urge playthrough and after obtaining the Slayer form, you will learn a new ability called Piercing Growl. This ability causes bleeding and fear for 2 turns in a huge 30-foot cone area of effect. Targets can be saved from these conditions if they succeed a Constitution saving throw, but bleeding gives a disadvantage on con saves, so it's perfect for a bleed build if you also have a Wild Heart Barbarian using Tiger's Bloodlust in your party. By reading this book, you also gain a passive called Slayer Knowledge, which grants advantage specifically against a Slayer's Relentless Lunge and Piercing Growl abilities. Now, despite what the tooltip says, it grants advantage against the entire ability, not just the Frightened status. And this book can be acquired by saving Volo outside the Steelwatch Foundry in Act 3 and talking with him back at camp, so make sure not to go full murder hobo during your Dark Urge run. And next up is a very rare conversation you can have with Zealot Christ. And did you know that if you slay Zealot Christ, she drops a Mind Flayer Tadpole as well? Found guarding the side entrance to Moonrise Towers, Zealot Christ is a guard that most players probably don't ever talk to, since she's only there if it's the first time you're entering Moonrise Towers, and if you take the main entrance, Christ won't be at the side entrance anymore. In fact, once you enter Moonrise Towers, Christ immediately will start walking towards Moonrise and end up in the oubliette. There, you'll find her corpse, and on on it, a Mind Flayer parasite. So finding Christ alive is a very rare encounter on its own. And next up is the second Dark Amethyst. If you missed the first Dark Amethyst in Act 1, which opens up the Necromancy of Thay, don't worry, there is another one within the basement of Philgrave's mansion in Act 3. The easiest way to get there is by going to the Heapside Strand waypoint and heading west until you see a hole in the wall. You can use Disguise Self Gnome to get through the hole and grab the Dark Amethyst. The Necromancy of Thay, once unlocked, grants Forbidden Knowledge, giving a +1 bonus to Wisdom saving throws and ability checks, Speak with Dead, and once you read the Tharkeite Codex, also found in Act 3, you can learn Dance Macabre, which summons 4 undead. With all these benefits you can get from the book, you definitely don't want to miss finding the book under the Blighted Village. But if you don't want to fight the Phase Spider Matriarch or forgot to, then this second Dark Amethyst has you covered. And next up is a hidden weapon effect. The Ironwood Club might not seem impressive at first glance, but did you know it has a hidden bonus called Ironwood Harmony? This club, when imbued with the druidic magic of Shillelagh, will deal an additional 1d4 bludgeoning damage. On top of that damage, Shillelagh also causes your attack rolls to use your spellcasting ability modifier, and it also gets added to the damage roll. It also has a neat hidden interaction. When learned through the feat Magic Initiate Druid, it will use your spellcasting ability of the class that acquired the feat for both the damage and attack rolls. For example, a bard taking the feat at level 4 will cause it to use Charisma. When you combine this with the Ironwood Club, you might be dealing much more damage than you thought possible, especially against skeletons which are vulnerable to bludgeoning damage. And the Ironwood Club can be found on the corpse of the Shambling Mound in Act 2. And next up is a hidden interaction with Heal. This level 11 cleric spell has a whopping 70 healing and also removes blindness and any disease. However, what the spell doesn't say is that if you cast it on a Dark Urge character, it actually restores one of their memories. And what's even more interesting is that the memory that is restored is different depending on if you rejected Baal or haven't fought Orin yet. These memories come with dialogue options too, letting you react to the memory. There are even voice actor lines too, responding to your dialogue choice, also depending if you're healed before you fought Orin. And next up are these skeletons under Moonrise. Did you know that a horde of skeletons can spawn in the Moonrise prison? These skeletons are mostly necromites with a single death shepherd accompanied by 3 named absolute cultists. And while there isn't any really particularly good loot from any of these enemies, you are awarded with an inspiration point by clearing them all out when you have a companion that has a soldier background. And to get these skeletons to spawn, all you need to do is go into the Moonrise Towers prison during the assault on Moonrise Towers led by the Harpers. And next up is a hidden immunity that Astarian has. In Act 3, within the Ancient Lair, your entire party is afflicted by a condition called Spell Rot, which reads, unless you are undead, each time you cast a spell, you receive 2 to 12 necrotic damage per spell level. This can be quite dangerous for a spellcaster. This curse will affect everyone in your party except for Astarian, which is really interesting. This means that even though Astarian doesn't have any tags or isn't classified as undead, he still benefits as if he's undead in certain scenarios. This is just one example, but I'm curious if you all have found any other scenarios where Astarian is benefiting from the undead tag, even though it's not listed. And next up is how to earn an absolutely amazing ring without causing massive bloodshed. The Ring of Protection can be earned from Maul by stealing the idol of Sylvanas. Now, if you do this too early, this is going to cause the druids to try to slaughter all the tieflings. Instead, if you wait until after you've saved the grove and everyone is packing up to leave to steal it, you can still complete this quest without any negative consequences. However, to even be able to start this quest with Maul, you first need to earn her trust. The fastest way to do that is to save Murkon. Now, Murkon is down by the river listening to harpies, about to be lured to his death. By saving him and then speaking with Maul, you can accept the quest to steal the idol. And then, when the time comes to steal it, the easiest way is to just cast Fog on top of yourself, steal the idol, and then quickly go to camp and return to the Emerald Grove Environs waypoint and turn it into Maul. If you like the proficiency with animal handling and nature that comes with having the idol, you can also purchase or steal the idol back from Maul in Act 2 when she's at the Last Light Inn near the bar. And next up is a hidden Illithid power within the Iron Throne. In the rush of rescuing as many Gondians as you can, along with possibly Duke Ravengard and Omelum, you may end up missing all there is to find within the Iron Throne. One notable treasure is the Mind Flayer tadpole tucked away in the southwest corner of the Iron Throne. And while it's just one illithid power, once you've gone partial illithid or convinced your companions to go partial illithid, you can unlock some pretty incredible powers, not to mention Cole the Weak getting stronger with each unlocked power. And even if you can't get every companion out of the Iron Throne before it collapses, you can resurrect anyone who didn't make it when you find them washed up on the beach back at Baldur's Gate. Just make sure at least one party member escapes. That way you can kind of suicide one of your companions to go grab this illithid tadpole without worrying too much. And next up is how to discover each companion's unique desire. In Sharess's Caress in Act 3, there's a worker named Nisha who you can save from a Mind Flayer, and if you pass an insight check, you can then take part in Rapture with her. She then tells you that you have one word and asks, "What will you be?" Now, depending on the character in dialogue, the last option will always be their own unique choice, hinting that this is truly their own unique desire. For example, Astarian wants to be safe, and Shadowheart wants to be whole. And next up is an interesting story behind a very memorable line. Have you ever wondered why the narrator tells you that you feel like you're losing something that you'll never get back once you use your illithid power in dialogue? I thought that using my illithid powers to succeed a dialogue check had some sort of consequence, and it turns out that there actually was back in early access. After using your illithid powers 3 times and then long resting, you trigger a cutscene and each party member would gain a new illithid power. Of course, this didn't make it into the game, but the narrator's lines still make it seem like using them has a consequence.